Once upon a time, nestled between swaying palm trees and sparkling waves on the Bay of Bengal, lay a picturesque village named Life here flowed as smoothly as the gentle tides, calm and serene. In this tranquil village lived a little girl named Annika. Just 6 years old, she was a bundle of sunshine, always cheerful and bright. Her laughter echoed through the narrow lanes like the tinkling of bells. Annika loved to adorn her head with a bright red scarf, which became her signature look. She lived in a modest yet cozy small tin-roofed house with her loving parents and her baby brother, Rohan. Their days were filled with simple joys. Mornings were spent poring over colorful school books, while afternoons were filled with the thrill of chasing dragonflies amidst the lush green fields. As evening shadows stretched long and thin, Annika would snuggle in her mother's warm embrace, listening to captivating bedtime stories. But life in the small village was not always as placid as the calm waters of the bay. Sometimes the sky turned an ominous gray and winds began to howl, bringing with them the fury of the sea. Such was the case one fateful afternoon. As the sun began its descent, the sky overhead transformed into a canvas of churning gray clouds. An eerie silence descended upon the village, broken only by the distant rumble of thunder. A loud wind started whipping through the trees, carrying with it the scent of the rain-soaked earth and a hint of something wild and untamed. Birds flew low, their frightened squawks echoing in the stillness. Dogs barked frantically, adding their voices to the chorus of unease. Even the cows seemed to sense the impending danger, their low moos heavy with a premonition of the storm that was about to strike. A choked voice rang out, "Run, everyone, run to the shelter." People surged through the narrow lanes, their faces etched with worry. Men lifted children high above their heads, shielding them with their bodies. Women clutched onto each other's hands, their faces pale in the gathering gloom. Amongst the crowd was little Annika, with her bright red scarf fluttering in the wind. Her father, his face creased with concern, carried her brother Rohan in his strong arms. Her mother, her face a mask of determination, held Annika's hand tightly, guiding her towards the cyclone shelter. Just then, a mighty roar shook the very foundations of the village. A giant banyan tree, which had stood stoic through countless storms, swayed violently before crashing to the ground with a deafening crack. A shower of sparks erupted as the tree fell across their path, blocking their way to the shelter. Behind them, the relentless wind and rain intensified. The air grew thick with a strange, unsettling silence. Fear pricked at Annika's heart. She turned to her mother, her eyes wide with worry. Then a horrifying thought struck her. Her tiny hand, small and fragile, slipped from her mother's grasp in the struggle to free themselves from the debris. Annika screamed, her voice cracking with terror. "Amma! Amma!" But her cries were lost in the raging storm, swallowed whole by the angry winds. She found herself lying on the ground, the comforting presence of her mother nowhere to be seen. Dirt and debris filled her mouth, tasting like fear and despair. Panic surged through her small body. Scrambling to her feet, she called out, her voice trembling, "Amma, where are you?" But the only response was the mocking whistle of the wind. The storm raged throughout the night, lashing the village with its full force. When the first rays of sunlight peeked through the clouds the next morning, the fury of the storm had subsided, leaving behind an eerie silence. The wind had hushed, the rain had stopped, and the clouds had drifted away, revealing a sky as vast and empty as a forgotten dream. But the tranquility of the morning was deceptive. It offered a stark contrast to the turmoil that had shaken the village the previous night. For as the villagers emerged from their shelters, blinking away the remnants of fear, they discovered that the storm had left behind a trail of devastation. Homes once filled with laughter were now reduced to piles of rubble, their tin roofs torn and scattered like discarded wings of frightened birds. Boats that had braved countless tides were now capsized and sunk in the murky water. And worst of all, some villagers were missing. Their whereabouts unknown, their fates uncertain. Amongst the debris, amidst the loss, sat little Anika by the ruins of her home, her tiny frame dwarfed by the wreckage around her. Her eyes, wide and glistening with unshed tears, scanned the destruction, searching for a familiar face, a reassuring sight. Her bright red scarf, once a symbol of joy, was now a splash of color in a sea of gray. Her small voice rang out, clear and strong, echoing with the determination of a spirit unbroken. Uma. Where are you? Her words were like fragile birds taking flight, soaring into the vast expanse of uncertainty, hoping to find an answer in the silence that followed. She roamed from hut to hut, from tree to broken wall, her little legs carrying her on a mission of hope. At each stop, she looked at every woman with a baby and whispered, her voice thick with longing, "Are you my mother?" But fate seemed determined to test her resolve. Each no that she received was like a stone dropped into her heart, sinking in with the weight of despair. As the sun began its slow descent, casting long shadows across the devastated landscape, Anika felt the warmth of compassion envelop her. Villagers moved by her plight offered her warm rice, a clean blanket, and most importantly, a place to sleep under dry roofs, away from the dampness of the night. But as the stars twinkled above, and the moon bathed the ruins in silver light, no one could tell her where her family had gone. Days turned into weeks, and the wound of separation grew deeper with each passing hour. Yet Annika refused to give up. Every morning she woke up with the sunrise, her eyes shining with a determined fire. She combed her long black hair, tied her red scarf, and set out into the world. Her small feet pounding the muddy paths, her small chest rising and falling with each hopeful breath. One day, as Anika walked past a clump of coconut trees, she spotted a group of people gathered nearby. Hope surged through her like a tidal wave. Maybe they had seen her mother. Maybe they knew something. With renewed energy, she pushed forward, her heart pounding in her chest. As she drew closer, she heard snippets of conversation, words that sparked a flame of recognition within her. Cyclone shelter, they said. Rescue team, they added. Then she saw a young woman standing amongst them. Her name was Rahana Apu. She was a volunteer with a disaster team. Her eyes were as deep and comforting as the night sky, and her smile could light up the gloomiest of days. Seeing Anika, Rahana walked up to her, her gaze full of kindness. "Are you lost?" she asked gently, her voice like a soothing balm on Annika's raw nerves. Annika nodded, unable to speak, her throat constricted with unshed tears. Gently, Rahana helped Annika to sit on a nearby tree stump, and for the first time in what felt like forever, Annika found someone who truly listened to her story. When she finally finished, her small voice trembling with emotion, Rahana responded, "Don't worry, Annika. We'll search for your Umr together." And true to her word, Rahana and Annika set out on a journey, their steps echoing the rhythm of hope. They visited every shelter, every relief camp, asking about Annika's parents. At one shelter, an old man with twinkling eyes and a weathered face leaned forward and said, "Yes, a woman with a baby came here crying. She was injured. She said she lost her daughter." "Could it be?" Rihanna's eyes lit up. "Where did she go?" she asked quickly. "They sent her to the town hospital," he replied. Without wasting a moment, Rohana held Annika's hand tight and climbed onto a rescue truck. The vehicle rumbled to life and they were off, racing down flooded roads, over broken bridges, past trees that now looked like wounded animals. Annika's heart pounded in her chest, her eyes fixed on the road ahead. As they turned a bend, there it was, the town hospital, bustling with activity. People bustled in and out, their faces etched with worry and hope. Relief workers scurried about, their voices echoing with purpose. Rohana and Anika rushed into the emergency ward. The sight that greeted them was overwhelming. Stretchers lined the floor, some occupied, others empty. The air was thick with the smell of antiseptic and the murmur of anxious whispers. Through it all, Anika's eyes searched frantically for her mother, her heart refusing to give up hope. Then suddenly, Anika's eyes caught sight of a woman in a bed. Her face was pale and bandaged, but her eyes blazed with a familiar fire. Her lips moved, forming words that sent shivers down Anika's spine. "Anika," she whispered, her voice hoarse but filled with an unwavering strength. With newfound energy, Anika ran towards the bed, her small legs carrying her as fast as they could. She threw her arms around her mother, sobbing with relief and joy. The world around them faded away as mother and daughter embraced. The pain of separation washed away in the torrent of their tears. Anika's mother stroked her hair, her touch as comforting as the first rays of dawn. Beside them, Rohana watched, her eyes shining with tears. As the days passed, Anika's family slowly recovered, both physically and emotionally. The storm had taken much, but it couldn't take away their bond, their love, their spirit. Every time a storm now threatened the horizon, Anika snuggled closer to her mother, holding her hand tight. And in the darkest moments, when the wind howled and the rain lashed against the windows, she whispered, her voice unwavering, "No matter what happens, I will find you again." And her mother would reply, her voice a melody of reassurance, "And I will never stop looking for you either." And so, life went on in the village of The scars of the storm remained, but the spirit of the people was unbroken, for they had faced the fury of nature and had emerged stronger, more resilient, more united. And little Anika, with her bright red scarf fluttering in the wind, continued to search for happiness in the simplest of things. Her laughter echoing through the lanes, a testament to the indomitable spirit of childhood.